Welcome everyone. Today's video is in response to all of the requests I've been getting for my French bread. French bread is, the recipe that I have is really easy to make as long as you have time. It takes a couple hours to make and you have to sit beside your dough, and I'll show you why in a minute. But the ingredients are really simple. It's just 2 1/4 cups of water at between 110 and 120 degrees Fahrenheit. I like to get my water right close to 120 degrees Fahrenheit, but don't go over. And then 6 cups of flour, just a regular all-purpose flour I use, and 2 tablespoons of sugar. So for 2 loaves, we'll only have 2 tablespoons of sugar. So it's only a tablespoon of sugar a loaf. And 1 tablespoon of instant yeast and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And then you could go up to a tablespoon of salt. I've only got about 3/4 of a tablespoon of salt for this recipe. So it's up to you. You can go more or less there. So you take your water and your sugar. And then just mix the sugar in just a little bit. Then you put yeast right in top. And once you put the yeast in, you can stir that in just a little bit. And let it proof for about 5 minutes. Once your yeast is proofed, it's all puffy. The rest is pretty simple. We just add the flour. Be careful to get all the flour in right. It's spilling all over the place. And our oil. That's 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And the salt, the salt to taste. So the very first thing we're going to do is mix it. We use the bread mixer to turn it into dough. You just put it pretty slow, at the most maybe around 2 on the bread mix with the bread hook. Okay, now if you're thinking that was easy, you were right, except with most breads, now what we would do is just cover it and come back in an hour after it had all risen and then form it into dough. But not this French bread. This is what gives it the sort of light, airy taste of French bread, is that you have to knock it down, let it rise 6 times, and knock it down 5 times. So, we'll take out the dough hook here. Put it in a little bowl, cover it, and then we'll be back in 10 minutes. I'll set the timer for 10 minutes. And we got to do this a total of 6 times. So you need a book. So I don't usually do this on my show, but I'm going to recommend a book because we got a whole hour to wait while our bread rises and we knock it down. So I just finished reading this book. I read it from beginning to end. It's called Beneath a Scarlet Sky by Mark Sullivan. And it might be the most Italian book you'll ever read. It's got everything Italian. It's got family and music, classical music, and food, and love, and tragedy and war, and religion. It has it all. Everything that's Italian is in here. And it's set in Milan during the Second World War. It's a truly beautiful book. I finished the book and it's been about a week and I miss the character. The main character is Pinolino is his name. And I miss him. I wish there was another book we could learn more about it. But it's a true story, so there'll be no other books about it. So you sit and read your book for 10 minutes and then we'll knock the dough back down again. So that's the first 10 minutes down. And as you can see, it's already risen up a little bit, but we're going to knock it back down again. Put it on 2 just for 10 seconds, just to get it knocked down. Hey, that's number 5. We're almost there. I can feel it. It's really trying to get really fluffy. And that's what makes this bread so nice. Yes, you got to sit for an hour, but you get to read your book. And and that's what really makes it light and fluffy. Let it rise a little bit, knock it down. Let it rise, knock it down. Let it rise, knock it down. You got to do that. We do it 6 times, and we're good to go. Okay. See you in 10 more minutes, and we'll be ready to go. Okay, we're done. We've knocked it down and let it rise for a total of 6 times, and we're ready for the next step. So if you look at it, I'll just give you a look here. You'll see that it's risen up nice, but not really as high as most breads do because we've knocked it down 6 times. But you can see it's really light, really sort of airy. And that's what we want in this bread, is a really sort of airy, light feeling to it. All right, now, this is actually 2 loaves of bread. So it's about 1.4 kilos, right? So you need 700 grams each. So try to cut it right in the middle. The closer you can get to the middle, the better. Into 2 exactly 700s. Now yours might be a little bit more, a little bit less, but just try to get it about in half. And then set them aside. And what I like to do is take a bit of shortening, but not too much shortening. And just a little bit like this. And I don't know how much that is, probably a teaspoon or something. And then you take half of it for now. Make sure your workspace is really clean. And I'm just going to rub the shortening on my workspace. And what this is going to do is do a couple things. One, it'll make so the bread doesn't stick. But also, it'll give it a bit of a sheen. And that sheen will carry right through to the end product. And then what we'll do is we'll just take one at a time and pat them down. Try to get all the air out of it. That's what you're doing here. It's trying to get all the air out, so knead it down kind of thing. And kind of square it up a little bit, like a rectangle it up a little bit. Because we're making them into loaves here, right? And here is the key to a nice loaf. How do people get beautiful loaves, you might ask? Well, I'll show you. Go like that, get it all nice and rectangled and down. And then here it comes. Here's the trick you've been waiting for. You pull it in together like this, you see. Look at that. And you pinch it all together. And then it's got an ugly side like this. That's actually, let me get it nice and even. See, they got like a little too much over on this side somehow. And then, but you can just work with it, right? Just work with it until you get it nice. I'm going to take that one and I'll move it up. I'm going to bring the tray in here so you can see. So just make sure there's enough. I didn't put them perfect here, so I'm moving them just a little bit. Lots of space. You want some space around them so that they got room to grow. And then what I do right now is to put the slices in. You can do them later, but if you do them later, you gotta be really super careful because you can knock your bread down. But they work just as good, if not better, if you do them now. So do them right at the beginning, and then you don't have to think about it. So they're just about ready. They're ready now, right? They're all cut. You can see they're widening up a little bit. And we're just going to let that bread sit for, in total, an hour. So for what I do is in 45 minutes, I put my oven on and then let it heat up. So around an hour to let them sit and to rise to perfection. So while they're rising, it's best to keep them covered. If you don't keep them covered, they could dry out. So any kind of kitchen towel, as long as it's clean and new, and just cover them like this with a fresh kitchen towel, and then let them rise up for the around 1 hour. It's been about an hour now, and the bread has risen up really nice. It's really good shape now. So we're going to put it in the oven. So just a few things about cooking time. I'm using my oven on convection bake. If you have a convection bake, I recommend it for French bread. gives it that hard, like outside, French bread sort of crispiness. If you use the convection bake, if you don't have convection bake, that's fine. You're just gonna have to watch your times. I'm gonna put it in for 23 minutes, which is about perfect. So it'll just depend on your oven, anywhere from probably 23 is about the lowest to about 30. And I would start just a little bit low because the bread, it's okay if it's a little undercooked. If it gets overcooked, this bread gets a little dry. So stick it in. Okay, it's all done. As I say, it's not a difficult bread to make. It just takes a long time. Here they come though. See, and I use the convection bake. You get that nice hard outside, and it's really soft inside, but nice hard outside. It's perfect for French bread. Good, and we'll just throw them on the cooling rack. Enjoy French bread, baked to perfection.